OTR again, Albie. Second day in a row on the road in Avon, Connecticut, United States, at a lovely hotel here where the charm and elegance of the place has been preserved, and the dial-up internet has also been preserved from 1994, thankfully. And so the pain will start tomorrow as we get ready for. But you know what? That's for my work. I'm in Connecticut for work, but it's a lovely hotel. It's a lovely hotel. But this is all that matters right here, Rels. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Are you ready?
Okay. We're all ready.
This is a guy named Rob Law on Twitter.
Okay.
He's nobody. He's Rob Law, PhD, research and methodology. Actually, maybe he is. Love to travel. Peace seeker, he says. He's got a peace sign or something else. He says, I'm sad tonight. Conflicted as to whether to unfriend a person on my Facebook that I truly liked. They proudly posted that they went to a rally in support of Trump at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. What would you do if you were in a similar position?
I know people who proudly post they go to rallies that I disagree with all the time.
No, hold on. So one person says, the breeze says...
Mm-hmm.
No, Kara says, I don't talk to my two sisters, nieces, or nephew. My parents are deceased, no other immediate family. And it is all because when I asked to stop talking politics, they just couldn't. Rob says, I can't believe the amount of division one man can cause this country.
How did Trump cause the division?
He's caused all the divisions. That's why.
Okay.
Then sometimes I curse says, I can't be friends with anyone who supports Trump. Not now, not ever. There is no middle of the road for me. So one of the truest things said was by Mary Trump. Trump has made it okay for people to be their worst selves. This is who the person has always been. It's a loss, but better people will come into your life.
Imagine, being into Mary Trump as a person. That's the celebrity you're into and can quote. To quote Mary Trump, one of my favorite people.
No, this is
pure grip.
This is Debbie Miller, she says. When they show you who they truly are, guess where this is going?
Believe them?
That's right.
That's original.
I cannot reconcile someone who aligns themselves with a racist, deplorable human being. I've lost many, but happy to find more like-minded people. You can agree to disagree on tea or coffee, but not on values. There's two. You know, I gotta get back to the top
really
one because
just
my
revealing.
favorite one has to do with guess what decade, Alice? Which is why they can't enjoy anybody who likes Trump.
I don't know what decade.
The 1930s. Did you realize that something happened in the 1930s?
Maybe something in Germany?
That's right. And she said, essentially, if in the 1930s there was one Nazi at the table and there was 10 other people at the table, you've got 11 Nazis. So this guy who, I don't know what he's thinking, says, to be honest with you, you should allow your friend to be them. You say you really like this person as a friend. If this is true, then one does sometimes. It is just you would not, and they did. You can still like this person as a friend. No. The very tolerant people shouted him down. I would have a hard time with that. This isn't political disagreement. This is a man who steals and rapes.
Does he?
This is not a political disagreement with her friend. This is a man who steals and rapes, is a national security threat, is deeply racist and misogynistic, doesn't care if people died from COVID. I don't think I could be friends with a supporter of that. So who here needs the mental health EMT?
Obviously the person who went out to protest in Mar-a-Lago, right? Isn't it so revealing, though, when people are like, we can disagree about how we take our coffee, but not about values. Well, that's a pretty boring life. You can only disagree with people about stuff that doesn't matter. You can only talk about stuff that doesn't matter. I knew someone once who said that they like never talk politics, religion, or something else. They had a third one too. And I was like, what else is there to talk about?
Well, that is such a great point because so
you guys talk
is
about
somebody going to get hurt if you talk about other things in the world?
And,
hold
and
on,
like,
Lily Munoz,
what are you supposed
who
to?
has-
You're supposed to have a conversation about how to take your coffee. Like
No,
that's the
Lily-
fun conversation you're gonna have.
Lily
What a boring
Munoz,
existence.
Yes, that's what they talk about, and when they hang out together, and when they go to these groups about their own supremacy. Lily Munoz, who has a Ukrainian flag, is like, pretty much think I know her, and she's good. I had a friend of 25 years that I had goodbye to. Oh, sorry, that I said goodbye to, because of this reason. I just can't.
And they think they're the good people too. There's ones in there too in those comments of people who like cut off relatives. One's like, my only living sister who's left, and we're both old, and we live across the country from each other, and now we don't speak to each other anymore. Amazing that Trump has caused this. Like, no, Trump didn't do that. You did it. You're the one who's not speaking to your only remaining living relative for no reason. And I'm laughing because it's insane, but it's also extremely sad.
Well, yeah, it is, absolutely. And this the projection, well, you thought that you knew them, but apparently you didn't know them at all because, look, this Nazi has showed himself and they're friends with him, so maybe you didn't know them. It's like, maybe you didn't know you.
Exactly.
I've dumped all of my Trump-supporting friends, but when it comes to family, I've just imposed a strict not talking about politics rule. What a fun relative to be around. None of my friends that were aunties or uncles to my kids ever supported Trump, so if it's that kind of friend, I reconsider the friendship. What would you do if they were racist, or known rapists, or traitors to our country? Because they are all these things in their support of a malignant narcissist, unfortunately.
So wait, you're a known rapist if you voted for Trump? That's a lot of rapists in the country.
Yeah, well, it is. And it's interesting, too, because here's another one. Nope, gone. When you support the destruction and pain of so many humans over politics, when the truth practically smacks you in the face, cannot do it any longer. I do not want people such as that in my life at all.
So who was in destruction and pain during the Trump years?
Here's the thing. At what point did these really good people, there's Ukrainian flags all over the place here. Mm-hmm. At what point did these really good people finish learning to the point where they had comprehensively satisfied every intellectual question that was out in the universe for them and came to their final conclusions, which apparently happened sometime in the last few decades? I've come to my final conclusions.
I'm right about everything now.
Yes, that's right. If you went to Mar-a-Lago, I have no question. There's no way that can be explained. There's no possible way.
Right. I mean, it really is, saying that you're infallible, that you're perfect, that everything you believe is right and true, and that you can only be questioned on things like how you take your coffee. We can disagree about what color car is best to have, but not like they say things like that and they think things like that. Like, we can't disagree about racism. Well, first of all, we're not even talking about racism, but pre-Civil War, people did have to disagree about slavery, for example, and that's the only way that it ever changed is because people disagreed about it and had hard and awkward conversations and did stuff and talked about things and said stuff that wasn't popular, right? And that wasn't the prevailing wisdom. So if you believe all the stuff that's the prevailing wisdom is absolutely true and can't be questioned and is never wrong, then you probably are wrong about a lot of things. Because what are the chances that us right now, living in this time period, that we're the first people to ever be right about everything in the history of the world?
It's looking pretty good, I think.
Okay.
It's looking pretty good.
Okay.
Karine Jean-Pierre.
But this is an interesting topic to me because our kids are into Disney. There's an actress who's a former Disney actress named Sophia Carson who's taking some heat on social media right now. Mm-hmm. Because she didn't
go to a Trump event, did she?
She didn't go to a Trump event.
She is over, as far as I'm concerned.
No. It's much more problematic than that, I'm afraid. She was in apparently a bad Netflix rom-com that involved a situation where two people who weren't planning to fall in love and are on different sides of the political aisle turn out to fall in love and and like learn to compromise.
It's a Nazi affirming romance.
Yes. So this, of course, is
Naz-com.
extremely problematic. And by all accounts, this is a terrible movie, so I'm not advocating that you go out and watch it. But basically, I'll give you the rundown. So this movie is called Purple Hearts. Get it? Because like blue and red. Purple Hearts. See? So they learn to be purple together. Oof. The guys in the Marines. So see, Purple Hearts. That's about the level of movie we're talking about.
Is there any chance he's an over-the-top Yahoo? And she's an oversensitive.
Here, well, I'm going to read you a little bit.
Oversensitive hippie.
I'm going to read you a little bit of this review from something called Bust by Margot Moran.
Any chance the first time they really hook up, they throw each other against the wall of all the pent in passion?
Bust is not a publication I had heard of, but apparently it's fierce, feminist, and funny. So news. So if you're interested in news like that, check out Bust. Margot Moran wrote this movie review.
All the funniest people are feminists, I've found.
Purple Hearts is an enemies to lovers romance about a liberal musician and a conservative Marine. When Cassie, a struggling singer-songwriter, finds out that her insurance doesn't cover the insulin she needs as a type 1 diabetic, she asks her Marine best friend to marry her for the military spouse benefits. He can't oblige because of his girlfriend, but his roommate Luke overhears and realizes marrying Cassie will afford him enough extra pay while serving to pay off his debts to his old drug dealer. Although Luke is conflicted over this decision because his dad worked for the military police.
So these are all the protagonists?
Yes.
These are the good people?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Luke is conflicted because his dad worked for the military police and taught him that lying or taking advantage of the government is a serious misdeed.
Fool.
But he marries her to protect his family from violence from his old drug dealer, Jono. Obviously, Cassie and Luke fall in love for real, and she runs to him confessing her love as he is arrested by the military police for faking their marriage. So then she writes that there is a lot wrong with Purple Hearts. We watched it so you don't have to, and we were left with 3 glaring questions. 1. When did Netflix start producing military propaganda?
Oh, yeah.
Showing soldiers getting deployed and landing in picturesque villages where they play soccer with the local children who smile at them in awe lends itself nicely to a narrative of American saviorism in the military.
Yeah,
at home, Cassie, a former critic of the military, later writes a song about her adoration of the troops. This sends the message that if you criticize the military's practices, you just don't understand, and all the apprehension will go away when you fall in love with your fake husband after he's deployed.
That means he Stepford-wifed her and gave her a lobotomy, and now she's in it to win it.
Number 2, problematic, glaring question. Can we separate a person from their political ideology? Purple Hearts says yes. Extremely problematic. You can't separate a person from their political ideology. That's who they are as a person. This movie has a thinly veiled message of why can't we all just get along? However, the protagonist's ideological differences are intertwined with theirs and their loved ones' identities. Cassie's mom came to the U.S. as an undocumented immigrant, and Luke loves a nice, secure border. Cassie is non-white. Luke defends his fellow Marines who yell promises of ethnic cleansing in a crowded restaurant. Sounds like something the Marines do. Definitely sounds like military propaganda. For people with non-dominant identities, being, quote, apolitical and swept away by passion for someone who doesn't think your mom deserved safe entry into the country is a privilege they can't afford. And finally...
It's fun. You say this is a feminist rom-com?
No, this review is from a feminist publication.
Yep. Okay.
Good. And finally, the final problematic thing is she lets go of her feminist ideology and lets the Marines get away with racism and misogyny and becomes the perfect military wife. And yeah, he doesn't compromise his values for the relationship, yet Cassie is expected to. Teenage girls are eating up this movie, and the message is not great, writes the feminist.
That is no good.
Extremely highly problematic. So, and there's a bunch of complaints about this. The actress has come out and says, like, you know, the people in the movie are supposed to be flawed and show growth during the movie or something. But yeah, so she's on her way to being canceled, I assume. It sounds like, I didn't realize she was Latinx, but I guess her family's wealthy.
Is Cassie?
No, the actress Sophia Carson. I guess her family is from Colombia and like a powerful Colombian family. I assume her Latinx card is about to be revoked any time now for being too white passing or white adjacent or something. So, but yeah. So apparently, I mean, can't a Disney person go out and star in a bad rom-com on Netflix without getting heat for no reason? But no, you can't send the message that we can all just get along regardless of politics. And these same people will turn around and tell you that Trump divided the country. Like, you're the one telling people that they have to cut off their only living family members if they don't like Trump, if they don't like the way Biden's running the country right now. Like, what planet are they on? Trump's the divisive one? What's wrong with them? I can't even like think about it. But yeah, that's where we are. And I know a lot of people like that who, on Facebook, I don't do as much like politics posting because I know there's people that just like can't, and there are people that I value in my life, but they of course can post all their opinions. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not because their opinions are good, so they're allowed to just continue saying whatever they want and having a great time.
Okay, I'll hit done.
What's wrong? Is it our kids?
No.
Okay.
I'll be right back. You got? Okay. Can you fill?
Yes, I can fill. Of course, I can fill. So anyway, you weren't sure this was real? I definitely saw this post for real. We can talk about that when you get back when it was still up. So yes, we can definitely talk about that. But I find these reviews of this movie just incredible that people don't even want the message out there that you can continue to be friendly to people who disagree with you about politics. And the things that they say they value, are really belied by the fact that they can't get along with people who have slightly different views, because realistically, we're not talking about people being Nazis, people being, whatever it is. They always like to say that, like, would you compromise with a Nazi? Would you be friends with a Nazi or a racist or a slave owner, whatever it is, right? But realistically speaking, that's not what this is. This is people disagreeing about tax rates. And more to the point, it looks to me like the people that are more correct about the whole situation in politics right now, when you just look at how Trump ran the country and how Biden ran the country, are actually the Republicans. It seems to me that holding on to this viewpoint that people who like the Trump presidency better than the Biden presidency is going to be extremely unproductive during the Biden presidency, because he's so clearly screwed up the country, right? People remember the Trump presidency, and even people who maybe weren't crazy about Trump himself know that they were doing much better at that point in time. Right? People know that during the Trump presidency, they could buy more stuff at the grocery store. They know there was stuff in the grocery store for them to buy. They know there was baby formula. They know all this stuff. We were all there for it. We saw it, right? We saw the vaccine get developed under Trump. And, our liberal friends can be in full-on denial about this, that like Biden actually got the vaccine out there and, Trump screwed up the pandemic and all these like imaginary things that Trump caused Putin to invade Ukraine. I talked to somebody about this on the radio in Connecticut the other day, and it was like, well, Trump caused the Afghanistan withdrawal. Trump caused the Ukraine war by liking Putin too much or something. Trump did this, Trump did that, Trump screwed up the pandemic. You can really look at both presidencies and see what actually happened. So it's going to become harder and harder to live in a world where you're going to have only people who believe that the Biden presidency is going really well and the Trump presidency was a big mistake and screw up. And I think the more the left buckles down into this viewpoint that we absolutely can't compromise with people who say, like the military, with people who want lower tax rates, with people who want, less inflation, with people who want gas prices to be low, things like that, because the left really doesn't want those things. The left believes in having higher gas prices for their green energy stuff. The left isn't interested in, making people like the military more. They're interested in making the military actually worse. All this stuff, you can sit here and tell me that Trump was a bad president and this and that, but we were all there, right? So at this point, if you're mad at people about the Trump presidency still, you're just delusional, because the Trump presidency was totally fine. Nothing happened to you. He didn't put you in a camp. Nothing went on. I mean, I don't think that there's really much of a leg to stand on now that we've had the Trump presidency. Maybe during the campaign it was a little different. I think a lot of these people were just scared, terrified by what the mainstream media had been telling them that Trump was going to do when he was elected, right? That what he was going to do to LGBTQIA plus people, what he was going to do to immigrants, what he was going to do to whoever, right? And I think a lot of people are, to women maybe, a lot of people were so scared of this fake idea of Trump that they had in their head that, I can kind of understand why they would be upset with people who voted for Trump, because in their mind, he was like this monster. But then the actual real life Trump presidency happened, and you don't really have anything to stand on anymore in terms of like what Trump did, which is why people like that caller I talked to in Connecticut have to like make things up, like that he caused the Afghanistan withdrawal, or he, caused the Ukraine war, or he did whatever. He had a pretty darn successful presidency as far as I can tell. Nothing seemed to really go that wrong, despite the warnings of terrible things happening at every turn, right? Even when he like killed people like Soleimani, all the experts were like, oh no, this is going to really escalate. This is causing our threat level to go up, all these things. Nothing happened. Everything was fine. Nothing happened with North Korea. Everything was fine. It's really incredible, like the fantasy world that people on the left live in, and they're mad at you if you won't join them in it. And they're so mad at you if you won't join them in it that they'll cut you off out of their lives. And not only that, they're mad if a movie exists that says that maybe cutting people out of your lives over the Trump presidency is like not a healthy way to live day to day. So I don't know. I'm interested that Netflix even made this movie. It sounds like it's really bad, honestly, but I think it's interesting because it's obviously meant to cater to a totally different audience, especially when Netflix was getting the rep of being super woke and being in the throes of, these employees just having to listen to what they said, walking out about Dave Chappelle, etc., and the Cuties movie, all these things. So it's interesting to see. I wonder if Netflix, we know that they obviously cut a lot of employees this year because of their drop in subscribers. It'll be interesting to see if they move to like cater toward a more mainstream audience and not this like radical leftist audience, because honestly, it is the mainstream, right? The mainstream likes the military. The mainstream thinks letting men play in women's sports is nuts. The mainstream thinks that encouraging children to go through life-changing surgeries at a young age that aren't necessary is nuts. The mainstream thinks, the mainstream isn't racist. They think everybody should get a fair shot in the country. The mainstream doesn't agree with this like critical race theory, ongoing white guilt propaganda. This is the mainstream view. And it's only because the left is so powerful in cultural institutions like Hollywood and, like the media, all these places, they control the culture. And so it sometimes feels like as a conservative, you're not mainstream. Now, I'm not going to go out there and tell you that, states like Massachusetts or Connecticut, where we are now, are absolutely packed with people who are, actually conservatives deep down. I can tell you we've been out in Connecticut yesterday and today, and I've seen more masks here than I see even in Massachusetts, which is crazy to me. I don't know really why there's all these people in masks, but Connecticut seems to have a lot of them. I don't know why. But I do think like nationwide across the country, I think that a lot more people are just normal, and I think that as there start to be more cultural institutions, like Daily Wire is starting to put out a lot of movies. They're working on starting to put out a bunch of kids content. And even if, places like Netflix start to move towards more even just neutral content, I personally think that this movie, Purple Hearts, dumb though it sounds pretty like middle of the road, basic, boring stuff, that's exactly what you would expect from a stupid rom-com, and that the message, can't we all just get along, shouldn't be problematic at all. And I think most Americans feel that way. I think most Americans who aren't like stuck in deep Twitter brain do actually want to get along with their friends and relatives and go back to like not caring about politics 24/7. Unfortunately, there is a whole cottage industry of analysts, news stations, pundits, general PACs, grifters, whatever, all the things that come along with politics that have built their whole existence on the idea that we're all going to be perpetually upset and outraged and freaking out all the time. And, sometimes I freak out. I definitely, in some ways I'm radical like that. I definitely think we're like an empire in a state of collapse a little bit here. But, I'm not mad at people day to day. I'm not upset about things like that. So I don't think it's worth it to be stressed about stuff like that. And certainly not worth it to cut off friends and relations over it. One sec, I have to check the hotel room door. It was good until you knocked on the door and I got up to get it. So, and now my camera's frozen. But so Tom's back. I don't know what he was doing. It looks like he might be planning to cheat on his diet. So, we'll find out. Who called you? Who called you? What's going on? What's happening over there? Did you have a drop of illegal diet merchandise?
This is not our home country. There are local traditions here, customs.
You can't break the diet. What are you doing? What are you doing over there? I don't trust Tom very much at all. So, Tom asked me in our Twitter chat if this thing was real. So I'll start talking about this a little bit. That this guy posted. I mean, it's as real as it could be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that this is a real person because the Twitter handle is anonymous, but certainly these were real tweets that somebody tweeted, and I don't know if beyond that, like how real the person is or how real the situation is, but this person really tweeted this the other day. And this presumably guy tweets, "When I was dating my ex, 2 weeks into our relationship, her ex burst into her house when we were together to talk to her. He threw me out."
Okay, now, hold on. We need to take this
one step at a time.
Yes, this is important.
Okay.
Because if this is true, what are you saying? And by the way, before you accuse me anymore, j'accuse, I will have you know that I got a call.
You got a call?
From Redwood City, California, at 7:02.
Okay.
To tell me to come to the lobby. So I went to the lobby.
Mm-hmm.
The actual lobby.
Okay.
And waited for the longest check-in in history of all hospitality was taking place. And I said, "Did anybody ask for me?" And she said, "Nope." And then I called back my friend from Redwood City, California, and I said, "There's one lobby, and then a mile and a half away, there's another atrium. Could you be there?" And he said, yes. So I went there, and then he handed me these aperitifs. Unsolicited. Alice. Unsolicited. A nice Grey Goose and soda.
Was this an order that you placed?
Alice, this is, we're not, we're in foreign lands. So don't
what is wrong with you?
Use colonialism on these people.
Okay.
Okay, so it's important to... This is important, this tweet, because it's everything, really. So, he's with his girlfriend at her place or his place. The ex comes...
Her house.
Her house. The ex comes over, tells him to leave because...
He needs to talk to her.
Talk to the ex. Okay.
Yes. He threw me out.
Threw me out.
I slept outside whilst they did the deed, according to
Whilst
this.
they fornicated.
Yes, had sex, this is. He left in the morning and I came back in.
He left in the morning. And he came back in.
I forgave her. And we dated for 1 year after that. Now there's a second tweet that goes.
Now hold on.
This story.
Already, obviously. Oh, so he forgave her right there on the spot, and they dated for a year. Now, that's incorrect. He's dating.
Right. She's hooking up with him
She's
sometimes.
single. Right. Exactly. So already, and I think most men, when I was younger, I've never quite this. I mean, this is, your friends would leave you, really, if as a guy, if you said this and said, oh, I'm going to go. Although I have not quite done this, but I have disgraced myself, certainly, into some long-term relationships that were broken and but that is awful. The fact that the guy tells him to get out, he then hangs with his girlfriend. They have makeup sex all night. This guy waits till the next morning.
Forgives her. I can't.
Okay. So
follow-up tweet. She cheated on me multiple times. And
no. I don't understand, because it seems to me that when he
this
forgave
is built
her,
on a really strong foundation.
when he forgave her, I would assume that filled her with so much respect for him. As any woman would, a man who was willing to overlook her mistakes and her moral failings. There's nothing hotter than that in a man, isn't there?
Oh, yes, that's
A
definitely.
man who
That's
stands
what women
by
like, I think.
and says, you know what, I'm going to empathize with you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
She cheated on me multiple times, and sometimes he left his underwear here, and she forced me to wash them. Okay.
So, obviously she cheated on him multiple times. I mean, I don't see how there's any possible. Okay, so how does this guy redeem himself? What's the right move if you're for this guy, Alice, as a woman?
You mean, how do you make this girl like you?
Sure.
Because she obviously doesn't.
Or how do you exit this situation with any tiny microscopic tidbit of dignity or worth at all?
I don't really. I mean, I don't see what he. I guess if he cheated on her or something.
Yeah.
But just he should never have forgiven her to start with. When somebody kicks you out to sleep with somebody else, that means
for hours. So they not only have sex, but then go to sleep as you're waiting out there.
It's not.
So,
how do you? That doesn't even compute to me.
So the only thing he could do is have a meeting with him and her and try to have an exercise in understanding, and hopefully somebody will get emotional enough to bear the reason for why they were acting this way. And maybe in that way, he'll be the alpha in the sense that they'll do some growing, and he's been the mediator. Do you think I believe that?
No.
No. Obviously, the only way out for him to show any respect for himself and for the girl whatsoever, to have a modicum of worth left on this earth, the only decent thing he can do as a human being is to murder her. That's no, that's the only decent thing to do here as a human being. There is no, and then he's got to, of course, murder the other guy, and then he's got to put on a suicide vest full of dynamite, and then he's got to go into the bottom of a huge septic tar pit and explode himself into that. That's the beginning of his journey to redemption. But that is only that.
Where's Cyril? Oh, okay. I was worried he was still out in the hall.
Yes, well, I was in Well, I was looking for my friend from Redwood, California. One of our sons was in the long, ornate staircase that curves down. He was bouncing a furry ball down the stairs. He seems to have known everybody in the hotel already. Do you know the front desk person, Cyril Anson? Is she nice? Is she your friend? No, she's not his friend. I could the nerve. We'll fill out a comment card before you leave. Anson. Everybody here is here in this hotel to make sure you guys have a good time.
But the story isn't quite over yet.
Oh, no.
So after the year of dating, she broke up with me for him, and now they're engaged.
What? He's at least been invited to the wedding, I hope.
I mean, like I said, this is a real set of tweets. I don't know how real the people are that are involved with this. So...
Did you guys wash out those glasses?
What?
Did you wash out those glasses?
No, this is just my cup that I have.
Okay, what about Cyril? Okay, well.
I used that one to pour dog water. I just put it in.
Okay, good. Okay, so now they're happily married. So it's a happy story in the end.
I guess so, yeah. Everybody.
This guy needs to be in a watchtower, a clock tower with a high-powered rifle. That's the only possible way. I'm just saying morally to recoup your losses and to make this a better tweet. Because there's no symmetry. This is why people are listening to this right now and driving. Oh,
Guys.
Really? And driving and veering off the road a little bit or jogging and feeling uncomfortable because there's no symmetry. The guy hits the clock tower and whacks everybody out at the wedding. Then there's some symmetry and the wrong is not righted, but at least it's offset. There's a debit and a credit. Right back to zero. That's got to be it.
Guys, stop.
The Shattuck
Because you're screwing up the
beach
cameras.
Balls.
Oh, I didn't know there was crackers.
Guys,
I forgot.
I'm distressed by this situation.
I understand. I'm sorry. Well, good thing our friend from Redwood, California,
is
brought
not-
your thing. It's okay. It's okay. How was your soliloquy?
I don't know. I guess you'll have to listen to the show to find out.
Maybe I'll listen to this episode.
Do you have any chats?
Oh, hold on. Let me see.
It's just about time to check on the chat, I think, for the today.
Yes, we're recording.
Yes, we're
That's what
recording,
the
and you're
headphones are
screwing it
for.
up. Mm-hmm.
Wait, we're screwing it.
Screwing it up. Yes. You're
Okay,
like
here we go.
knocking cameras. They don't point at people anymore. Things like that.
Here we go.
One Crazy Summer's On. What a bizarre film. John Cusack, Demi Moore, Curtis Armstrong, Bobcat Goldthwait,
Booger, I think.
Jeremy Piven. Weird, just a weird movie.
So, Justin, I'm glad you mentioned that because One Crazy Summer is a movie that was intimately entwined with many people my age in Massachusetts because my friends, Keith, the McLarens next door, their cousins were all in the movie because it's a big Cape movie. Everybody knew somebody who was in One Crazy Summer. I never actually saw the whole thing. But I love Jeremy Piven, and I'm glad it happened. It was one of those things everybody knew. It was like when there was, you don't remember, Alice, but there was a movie with, can you guys not play with the beach ball?
Can you not do that right over here?
There were a couple of movies like that where Robert, whatever, there was a movie in the mid-'80s that used to film all around Massachusetts as well, and it was all the talk. But it was a bizarre movie. That was all the 80s movies were the same. They were now I find them to be classics because people acted like their animal selves, and it was fine. You know, under the threat of scary nuclear war at the time. Yeah, it was a lot about I can't say because the kids are here, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a cold. It's not COVID. That's why I keep telling them. It's not COVID. I can taste and smell. It's not COVID.
What was that music in the background? Was that Pat Benatar?
Yeah, I have a cold. It's not COVID. It's not COVID.
I need to know what that song is. It makes me very nervous. I need to know. Pat Benatar? I think it's Pat Benatar. I'm excited about today's show.
You are?
Yeah, because I was down in the doldrums earlier. We had the coffee, and now I'm more excited. And my friend from the Redwood, California, brought us a welcoming gift to his land, I think is what this is.
We're not in
So
his
nice.
land if he's from Redwood, California.
I don't. If that's his truth, then you know.
Okay.
You're waiting for me to press the button that makes the music go.
Yes, I am waiting for that. Thank you so much, everybody, for bearing with us. We will be back at the Shannock Manse tomorrow, and we will record that Patreon show for those of you who are, thank you very much, our Patreon supporters. As you can see, the hotel room situation is not really lending itself to doing a lot of recording, so we'll get to that tomorrow. And thank you always for listening. It's so fun getting to talk to you guys every day.
C'est la vie.